Hi everyone, I'm Chelsea and welcome to our installation videos. These videos, along with your instruction manual, will help guide you through all the steps necessary for installing your hardware to your Murphy bed. Some of the tools you'll require before you start building your cabinetry are, you'll need an electric drill. With that drill, you'll need a 3/16 drill bit, and this is used to drill in the handles on the front panel. You'll need a Robertson drill bit, which is used when you're drilling in the frame to the front panel. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. This is used to screw in the Raffix fittings. You need two sizes of flathead screwdrivers. The smaller one is used for the mechanism covers, and the larger one is used for the bolts on the mechanisms. You'll also need a 7/16 wrench. This is used for screwing in the crossbar to the legs. You'll need a 3/8 wrench, and that's used for the corner brackets on the frame. You'll need an adjustable wrench as well as a 1/2-inch wrench, and these are used for tightening the bolts on the mechanism. You'll need a hammer for hammering in the Raffix fittings. You'll also need a stud finder, tape measure, and then a leveler. The components of your Murphy bed will consist of two face panels, two side panels, and you can identify the outside of your side panels by the countersunk holes. It will also have a front kick, a bottom stretcher, a headboard, and a top stretcher. The top stretcher will have 3 Raffix fittings on either side, and the headboard will have 4 Raffix fittings on either side. The long, skinny box will hold your bed frame, and this box here will consist of your mechanism and your legs. And that is all the components of the Murphy bed. The next step will be to build the bed cabinet. So you'll need to locate bed number 25, which will have all of the components you require in order to do that. You're going to want to put down a piece of cardboard to protect your floors. Then locate your Raffix fittings. Make sure that they align properly with the holes. Take your hammer and lightly tap the one end first and then the other until they're in. Continue this process until all your Raffix fittings have been put into the proper holes. After putting in all the Raffix fittings, locate the Raffix bolts. Using your Phillips screwdriver, you're going to locate your Raffix bolt. You're going to put it in the hole, and then you're going to screw it in. Once you've put on the Raffix bolts on either side panel, you're ready to attach your headboard, top stretcher, and bottom stretcher. When assembling the bed cabinet, you're going to want to make sure that the finished end of the panel is facing the ground and the unfinished end of the panel is facing upwards. Now we're going to screw in the Raffix fittings to the Raffix bolts. Make sure that the Raffix fittings are locked properly to the Raffix bolts, and then continue this process on the other side panel as well as with the headboard and the bottom stretcher. After you've installed the top stretcher, the headboard, and the bottom stretcher, you're going to install the brackets onto the front kick. Take the bracket and place it on the center of the front kick, making sure that it is flush. And then take your electric drill and drill in the screws into the center hole. Installing the front kick, you're you're going to want to measure 1 1/8 of an inch from the outside of the side gable. Now that you've installed your front kick, you can lift up the bed and mount it to the wall using the 3 L brackets provided. Once you've assembled the bed cabinet, it's time to lift it up so that you can mount it to the wall. For safety, this will require 2 people. Once you have it lifted, position it where you want it on the wall so that you can mount it. And now you're ready to mount. When mounting the bed cabinet to the wall, you're going to need to locate bag number 10 if you're using an aluminum frame, and bag number 7 if you're using a steel frame. And you can find these bags in your mechanism box. You'll also require a stud finder, a leveler, an electric drill, as well as a ladder. Using a stud finder, locate the studs on the wall. Mark the stud with a pencil. Continue to do this until you have located all 3 studs. Make sure that the cabinet is level, and if it is not, use a shim. Drive the 2 number 8 by 2 inch flathead wood screws through each bracket and into the solid frame member. Drive a single number 8 by 3/4 flathead screw through the middle bracket and into the top stretcher. Then recheck the cabinet for square. Now that you've attached your last L bracket, make sure that the cabinet is properly secured to the wall. This label must be mounted on top of the bed cabinet. Evenly place the bumpers along the top stretcher. When installing the springs, adjust the tension bar to make sure that it is properly aligned with the other side. Take your first spring, count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hook it in and flip it over, aligning it with the other side. Make sure that the tension bar is properly aligned with the correct hole. Lift up the tension bar and bring in your spring so that it goes into the hole. Continue this process with the next spring. You'll continue to add the appropriate amount of springs until you have your mechanism full. Make sure all the springs are in. Adjust the tension arm to make sure springs are properly installed. When installing the mechanism, you're going to have to locate bag number 10 if it's an aluminum frame and bag number 7 if it's a steel frame. Then you'll find your 5/16 and 1 1/4 flathead machine screw, which are used in holes A, B, C, and D, as well as the nut, which is used for those screws. You'll also find the washer, which is used in hole B, and then you'll find the hex cam washer, which is used in hole A. Make sure that the larger part of the hex cam washer is facing upwards when you install it into hole A. We're going to start off with the right side mechanism, and you'll know it's the right side mechanism because this tension arm will be facing upwards and outwards when you mount it to the side gable. And now it's time to install our mechanism. Insert a 5/16 and 1 1/4 flathead slot machine screws into holes C, D, A, and B. Take the mechanism and align the screws with the corresponding holes. Loosely thread a 5/16 plain hex nut onto holes C, and then onto hole D. Place a washer and a nut onto hole B and loosely thread the nut. Take the hex cam washer, ensure that the larger side is up, and place it onto hole A and thread the nut. You'll then tighten holes A and then B and C and D until the screw is flush with the outside of the side panels. And now you'll repeat that process with the left mechanism. Next step is to install the bed frame to the bed panel. So you're going to locate bag number 15 and bag number 14 if you're using an aluminum bed frame, and bag number 8 if you're using a steel bed frame. We have laid down a piece of cardboard to protect our bed panels from being damaged, and we've ensured that the pre-drilled holes are at the foot end of the bed. The next thing we're going to do is we'll take the bed frame from the box and arrange it around the bed panel. Now that I've arranged the bed frame around the bed panel and I've used 2/4 as spacers between the two bed panels, I'll locate bag number 14 because it's an aluminum frame, but if it was a steel frame, you would choose bag number 8. Take the panel guard and position it against the outer ends of the headrail. Insert a 3/16 by 1/2 inch black truss head Phillips screw through the panel guard and connect it with the corner bracket. Hand tighten a nut and repeat this process with the next screw. Connect the side rail with the head rail and insert the screws and nuts into the corner bracket. Tighten the screws with a wrench and a power drill. Insert a 3/16 by 1 1/4 black flathead Phillips screw through the sunken side of the leg stop. Insert it into the bottom hole and align it with the corner bracket, and hand tighten the nut. Put the remaining screws and tighten them. You'll repeat this process on the other side with the other leg stop. When installing the bed frame to the bed panel, you're going to want to make sure that both these panels are flush together so that the quarter does not move. You'll take your ruler ensuring that it is flush and that the panel and the frame line up together. You're then going to make sure that there is 1 inch space between the bed frame and the panel, and you'll do this on either side. So with that 1 inch, you'll take one of your screwdrivers and lift it up. Measure again. Peel off from the double-sided sticky tape and make a fold in it. And measure again. See that you have that 1 inch. Remove your screwdriver. And then press down. Repeat this process on the other side with the panel guard. Make sure that you maintain the 1 inch space between the frame and the outer edge of the foot end of the panel. Screw in a few screws around each corner. Continue on screwing in the rest of the screws on the frame, but leave the 4th screw open so that you can screw in the Velcro strap. It is extremely important that you do not over-torque the power drill, as this could cause the holes to strip. When installing the Velcro strap, you're going to make sure that the male and the female side are attached to one another. Place the Velcro strap over the open hole using your electric drill and a screw and a washer. You will insert it in. Make sure that you hold on to the Velcro strap because it will twist. After we've installed the bed frame, it's time to install the stiffener. So the aluminum frame will have one vertical stiffener that will run down the middle of the bed. So we'll place it on a diagonal and then we'll put it in. Make sure that it is aligned, and you can tell by making sure that where the bed panels meet up, it sits right down the middle. Remove the double-sided sticky tape partway down from the stiffener. Ensure the stiffener is aligned properly. And then remove the remainder of the tape. Align the stiffener back up. Make sure the notch in the stiffener fits over the frame on both sides. Power drive in the remainder of the screws into the stiffener, but be careful not to over-torque the power drill as it could strip the screws. Do I have time to go make coffee? When installing the legs into the frame, we're going to start off with our right leg. We'll remove the nut from the leg as well as this washer, leaving the plastic washer behind. If you were installing a steel frame, you will have these two washers on it, which you would remove. We'll then take the leg and put it into the hole, replacing the washer back on and the nut, and using a 1/2 inch ratchet wrench, you will tighten it until it is all the way tight. And you'll do the same thing with the other leg. When installing the crossbar into the legs, pull back the leg, making sure that you can easily move it back and forth. You'll then require your Loctite. Dab some into the insert nut. Align the crossbar with the hole, and then take your star washer and your screw and tighten it. And then using a 7/16 inch wrench, you will tighten the bolt. But make sure that you don't tighten it too much so that the bolt will break. And that's how you install a crossbar. When mounting the frame to the mechanism, you'll require 2 Allen head bolts, which will be inserted into hole number 1. You'll also require 4 hexagon bolts, which will be inserted into holes number 2 and holes number 3. And then you'll need the nuts, 6 of them, which will be used on all of those bolts. Insert the Allen head bolt into hole number 1 and hand tighten with a nylock nut. Then take the bolt and insert it into hole number 3 and hand tighten with a nylock nut. Using a ratchet wrench, tighten the Allen head bolt until it is fully secured. When locking the tension arm, you first must brace one of your feet against the side panels and brace your other foot against the wall. And then using the PVC pipe provided, put it onto the tension arm and hold at the top for leverage and then pull back. While one person pulls back on the tension arm, the other person will use a screwdriver to take the arm lock and make sure it lands on bolt hole number 1. Do not use your fingers when locking the arm lock and don't reach behind the tension arm. And that's how you lock the tension arm. Two people are required to mount the front panel to the mechanism. Lifting the panel up, align it between and just in front of the tension arms. Lift the unit vertically to a height where the bolts in hole number 3 are a couple inches above the top of the tension arm. Gently fit the unit between the arms, tilt it back approximately 10 degrees so that the head end of the unit clears the kick. Be sure that the Allen head bolt seats at the bottom of the slots. Slowly tilt the panel back just enough to allow hole number 1's Allen head bolt to be fully seated in the notches at the bottom of the mechanism. Once you've mounted the panel to the mechanisms, you'll tighten the bolt in hole number 3 first. Once this bolt is tightened, you'll lower the bed and insert the bolt into hole number 2, where you'll again tighten it. When mounting the frame to the mechanism, you'll require 2 Allen head bolts, which will be inserted into hole number 1. You'll also require 4 hexagon bolts, which will be inserted into holes number 2 and holes number 3. And then you'll need the nuts, 6 of them, which will be used on all of those bolts. Insert the Allen head bolt into hole number 1 and hand tighten with a nylock nut. Then take the bolt and insert it into hole number 3 and hand tighten with a nylock nut. Using a ratchet wrench, tighten the Allen head bolt until it is fully secured. To install the handles, you must first lower down the bed. While one person holds the panel, the other person will drill through it for the handles. You now take your 4 screws and put them into the holes. And then from the other end, you'll attach the handles and then tighten them from this side.